Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Mythgard and Middle-earth. My name is Corey Olson, the Tolkien professor, joined as always by my friend Gryfflet, who has, in stealth, sneaked up to, because apparently the kids have done it again, right? And there's once more strong parenting going on here in Ost Lontir, and Gryfflet is taking notes just in case. Good afternoon, everybody. So glad to be back with you guys today. So here we are in Ost Lontir in the Bay of Belfalas, and looking forward to moving towards Edhellond today. I'm going to see. Maybe we will even get into Dol Amroth today. So that is pretty exciting as Gryfflet continues his gambling through Gondor here. I don't think I had anybody else left in town to talk to. And it's a very small town, actually, so that's kind of convenient. I mean, tall but well defended apart from the multiple gate issue, but that's all right. Okay, so we're going to summon Carrion, and we're going to get going. We have orders. Yes, we're looking for orders from Corsair Spies. And we're looking to defeat the patrol leaders. Yeah, those guys that we ran past before, presumably. So, yeah, I agree, Phil. There's a lot of people in the streets for a relatively small number of dwellings. There seem to be like 3 houses. I have a couple theories. One is that there's like apartments inside the walls or on top of the walls. Another is that there's a bunch of refugees from outlying places here, that it's not normally this busy. But yeah, I agree. Population density seems to be a bit of an issue here in this town. All right. But anyway, we're headed back. By the way, we've still not been sent on any quests to those other beacons, like the ones at the edge, right between Belfalas and Lamadon, that were controlled by Corsairs. I suppose we still will. I just want to make sure I don't miss any quests, because I don't think I've missed any. Okay, hang on. There's a band of Corsairs. You can tell by the splashes of color. There's a patrol leader. Okay. But how does one catch them? Hey, guys! Hang on! Wait! I want to fight with you. Ah! Man. They are long gone. Hang on, maybe I can head them off. Use my knife throwing skills. Ha-ha. Okay, there we go. Boy, man, those patrols seem to be more interested in aerobic activity than they are interested in actually catching things. You know, when the invader has to try so hard to flag down the patrol, you kind of can't help but feel that they're doing it wrong a little bit. Okay, did that count? Yes, that counted as 1. Okay. Use distraction. Wait a second, that would involve actually using that. Where did that go? It's a diversion. Divert the enemy's attention while in stealth. That's not the same thing. Okay. Wow. All right, so that was progress. And who else am I looking for? Spies. I'm also looking for spies. Which are... Oh, hang on. Hey, ho. All right. Look, I'm right in your... Stupid mouse issue. Oh, look, I got a warhound, too. Oh, this is a happy family right here. Okay. All right, Gryfflet. I think we got this one handled. Ooh. And another one comes along. Maybe they have like a beaten path that they all follow the same circuit, right? So if I just place myself in this strategic spot, I will carry on intercepting patrols. Why are they patrolling over this obscure hilltop? I don't know. Oh, hang on. I still need a fourth one. I should stay in that spot. Okay. Cliff Stalker. Oh, right. That's a cat. Got it. And a rabbit. But not a well-dressed one, so presumably not. Okay. All is quiet. I think I have denuded this hilltop of patrols. Okay, so the... By Land and Sea is the name of what? The patrol leader's one. Okay, so orders from Umbar are the spies. Oh. Here they come. Oh, and I've attracted a cat. That's good. That's fine. Boy, oh, hey, those guys are actually patrolling the road. We might run into somebody there. Oh, go! Oh, they ducked and turned away from me. They must have seen me coming and fled. I have to throw my knife again. Yeah. Oh, what a shot, Gryfflet. Yeah. I was coming down to intercept them in full view. They saw me coming, did a sudden pivot to avoid me. These patrols are really quite pacific, really. At least I can confirm to the people, to the local folks, that they're really no threat. Oh, hey! Hi there, Mr. Corsair Spy. Oh, you've got a headband! Oh, that's cute. Right? Do you think he's wearing leggings, too? Right? You know, like 1980s mall style? That headband was you know, didn't want to go with the full, you know, kerchief look or turban look. He decides instead. Headband. Yeah. Uh-oh. Gryfflet's coming in and the patrols scatter. Oh, hang on, he's coming back. Okay, I'm out of range apparently here for spies. Okay, did I get orders? Okay, good. At least I did get orders off him. Didn't have to loot his corpse. Okay. Well, once again, the patrols did avoid me, so they've clearly heard of my fearsome reputation. Maybe now that I am wearing an attractive teal, you know, cloak here, that they are mistaking me for a fellow Corsair. I doubt it. Gryfflet is not nearly sharply dressed enough to be mistaken for a Corsair. But, you know, I still think it's a kind of a shame that I can't get Corsair cosmetics. That other spy was really well stealthed. I just happened to run into him. Like I had to literally almost actually run into him. What are they spying out in this landscape? Yeah, I see you. Cliff Stalker. Yeah, for whatever reason, I keep misreading the word cliff in various ways when I'm seeing it on mobs here. This guy was bearing down on me. I thought he was the chief stalker. And no, he's not the chief stalker. Okay. Huh. Suspicious looking fox. Oh, there's a patrol. There's another one. Avoiding the patrols, not a problem. Catching them is the problem. How do I find them? Oh, look at this. Turbaned lads. Of course, I've come back to like the hill. It's like a deer run, you know, like you find the path that the deer used to go down to the stream. You know, that's totally what this hill is, and I've come straight back to it looking for spies because in Gryfflet's defense, he did find spies here before. Well, a spy. The spy. Wait, oh, I guess you're done, Gryfflet. Time to stop actually swinging your sword. Oh, okay, there's... You can always tell a Corsair patrol if they're running away from you. I don't understand. There's so much that I don't understand. This is always true, but I don't understand what these spies are looking for. Oh, hang on. I'm going to counter stealth him. And oh, who's been out spied now? Anyway, yeah, so like, what are they looking for? He's like stalking around this hillside. Spying on what? The deer? The goats? I mean, wouldn't spies be better served, like, I don't know, in the towns or somewhere else where they could find something? Anyway, no idea what their plan is here. I'll wander around and find the last one, but let me queue up a lore question because we got some good lore questions at the end of last time. So, Gowan for Life asked an excellent question that I didn't get to last time. So, Gowan for Life asked, in literary studies generally, people love coming out with new editions of an author's letters or works as research uncovers new things. In the Tolkien context, do you think it would ever make sense for there to be a new Silmarillion in light of the nature of Middle-earth, the history of Middle-earth, etc., or does the Silmarillion need to be a once-for-all book? Whew, that is such a fascinating question. That really, really is. And I have no idea how to answer it exactly. Do I think the Silmarillion could be improved upon? Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. It could. Totally it could. Even Christopher himself questioned the premises upon which... So, let me... okay, let me do a little summary here for a second. What am I talking about? So the Silmarillion was put together by Christopher, and the kind of editorial principle that he adopted when he was putting together the Silmarillion, there were two things that he explained that he was kind of looking for when he published the Silmarillion. One was to do as little writing as he possibly could. That is, he wanted to use as much as possible only his father's already written material. He did not want to get in the business of, like, you know, Dad said that he wanted to do this with this story, so I'm going to rewrite the story in the direction, you know, that my father said he wanted. Like, he did not want to do that. He wanted to use, so he went through, collected together all of the, the main Silmarillion stories, and the outline, was pretty clear. There were several, a large number of drafts of the material. So he had that. But the only place I've ever found spies is down here in this meadow. I shall look to see if they return. Anyway, so there were lots and lots of drafts. But the stories were in very different shapes. Like, just to say that there were lots of... If you've never read the history of Middle-earth stuff, then what I can tell you is, to say there were many drafts of the Silmarillion materials to choose from is misleading. Because it's more than there being many drafts. He was like completely rewriting the stories on quite different premises, and they're inconsistent with each other in lots and lots of ways. As the stories were developing, the whole world was developing, as he was kind of planning it and thinking it through. Anyway, so Christopher was going to go through, and he basically chose, every time he could, he chose, he could do this every time. He chose the latest written version of almost every, of completely written versions. So, like, if there was one version of the story where he wrote the entire story, take the Fall of Gondolin as an example, right? Well, no, wait. Let's start with something else. Let's start with Beren and Luthien, right? Okay, so he had a number of Beren and Luthien options there, right? And so he had to choose, like, okay, the epic poetry version is right out. First of all, because it's too long, and it doesn't fit in style with the others, and it's not finished anyway. So we can't use that one. So, So he goes through and picks, hooray. He goes through and picks the only, the version of it that is completed, the latest version of it that is completed, and that fits within the, with the rest of the stories, can be made to fit with the rest of the stories that he was collecting. So he uses a relatively late version of the prose Beren and Luthien from one of his sort of mid-range Tolkien's mid-range Silmarillion revisions. But then there are other stories like The Fall of Gondolin, right, where there are actually only two versions of that story that he ever finished, because it's near the end, right? And when he kept writing the later Silmarillion versions, like the ones that he did complete Beren and Luthien in, so Christopher was able to choose one of those Beren and Luthiens from like the 30s and 40s, but none of those had a completed version of The Fall of Gondolin in it, because he didn't get there, right? So he only twice completed a version, even though the Fall of Gondolin was one of the earliest ones. He only completed the Book of Lost Tales version, which is very cool, but has a lot of inconsistencies with the later legends because the stories grew a lot. So the version that you read in the Silmarillion from the about the Fall of Gondolin is quite early. One of the very first versions, in fact, I think the first prose version after the Book of Lost Tales that he wrote in like the late 20s, very, very early 30s. So it was written by Tolkien like a decade before the Beren and Luthien version that we get in the published Silmarillion. And the stuff that that Christopher included for, say, the Darkening of Valinor and the discussion among the Valar, and with like Manwë weeping over the marring of Feanor and all that stuff, right? That's actually from material that Tolkien wrote when he was working on the Annals after he published The Lord of the Rings. So that stuff was written in the 50s, late 50s, mid to late 50s. So that stuff was that the prose that Christopher is taking and putting into the published Silmarillion there is from 20 years, more than 20, 25 years after the version of the Fall of Gondolin that he brought in, right? So this is what, and again, please don't think I'm criticizing Christopher here. It was a really good premise. Had he not done this, what he would have done was write the Silmarillion himself. I mean, he had no other choice but to do than this, if he were not to just be like, Dad didn't finish the Silmarillion, so I shall. Like, that was his only other option, right? Was to piece things together the way that he did. So that was his approach. I'll talk about the other. So that was his one premise. I'll talk about the other major editorial premise that Christopher worked under in a moment. But first, Gilanor. Okay. Maybe they'll be wise enough to keep from the roads. Yeah, well, here's what you do. Just run after them and they scatter like quail. So, yeah, you guys should be fine from now on. I've definitely put some fear into them, I think. When last I saw, they were avoiding the roads, so it should be fine. Okay, yeah, let's not allow them time to recover. Agreed.
These are troublesome times indeed.
Okay, they detail numbers, movements, a Corsair captain named Dol Guzir, probably. Dol Guzir. Okay. Stress on the last syllable. Interesting. And their leadership, all of them mentioning one known as the Scourge. We have all we need now. Let us begin our assault. Hooray! We have weakened their forces near the beacon. We know their movements, and we know of their leadership. Now is the time to strike at the heart of their force in Edhellond. Okay. While you aided me, I sent a scout named Dolvir to observe the Corsairs moored at the Elf Haven. Seek him out, and aid him in ridding the coast of Corsairs. I will not allow that Umbarian filth. Umbarian sound, for some reason that sounds particularly like an expletive, doesn't it? Umbarian filth. To lay any further claim to our lands. Go, Gryfflet. May we fight alongside one another before this war comes to an end. Hey, sure. Yeah, Umbarian filth. Like, Umbarian is that's just the land they come from. Filth is the insult, but Umbarian kind of sounds like an insult in a fun way. Okay, anyway, so back to Silmarillion. The other thing that Christopher explains was really important to him, and he talks about this. We got this in the in Morgoth's Ring, which is interesting because it's volume 10 of the History of Middle-earth, and so it's when he's talking about the post-Lord of the Rings Silmarillion revisions. And we see there Christopher reflecting from much later on, all of it is later than the Silmarillion. The Silmarillion is basically the first thing that Christopher did. The Silmarillion was published in 1977. Tolkien died in 1973. So basically after Tolkien's death, Christopher set about the very large task of publishing the Silmarillion. Like, this was, his father's hope. So he set to doing that right away, like a diligent son. Whoa. Oh, there he is. I'm on the wrong cliff. This is kind of cool. I'm high enough up that I am on the cliff, staring down at the cliff from which the spy is staring down at the town. So let me enjoy it from this height first. We've got some Corsair ships. Of course, it's nighttime, but that's all right. Interesting how we have like the sort of flet style here, right? Because this is a Galothrim hull. This is the haven from which the Galothrim set sail, right? So notice that you can see that it's not Noldorin construction. The style is quite different from the Grey Havens. It's quite different from you know, like a Regian or anything like that. It's very interesting. The domes and the little peaked roofs on the towers, which looked like adorable little hats sitting on top of those towers. Very cool. All right, let me jump off the cliff here. Hi there, Dolvir.
How may I help you, friend?
You must be Gryfflet. Gillanor told me you would arrive soon. It will not take you long to see what peril faces Gondor down in the Elfhaven. The Corsairs have moored 3 ships full of men and have pillaged Edhellond to nearly nothing. I don't know, it still looks like something to me. My question is, have they begun to redecorate? We must move quickly to save the history here. Preserve drabness for Gondor, and even more quickly, should we hope to quell the Corsair threat. Okay. The orders you recovered from the Corsair spies mention a captain named Dol Amroth. They note that he is stationed on the northmost ship, but little else of him can be gleaned from these scribbles. Search his ship and draw him forth. Perhaps in his surprise he may reveal more of the Scourge's plans for Gondor. This much is clear. He must be defeated if we are to slow the Corsairs' advance. Move with care, for it is unlikely that his position is ill defended. Oh, wait. But wait, there's more. A different sort of treasure. If there is one thing I have learned about these Corsairs, it is that they are never far from a mug. For all the treasures they have stolen from our lands, I do not think anything means more to them than their stores of ale. They seek to pillage Gondor until nothing remains, so I think it fitting that you deprive them of their greatest treasure. Out on their boats, I have seen them drink from hefty barrels of ale. Burn them all, and let us see if their assault does not dwindle within days. Oh, that is dirty fighting, Dolvir. Man, we're going to wage absolute war on the Corsairs and stave in their beer casks. That is ruthless. The elf harbor of Edhellond has stood for many ages, and though the elves have gone, much of their history remains here in Gondor. When they departed these lands, they left Edhellond deserted, but it has not been forgotten by my people. Many ancient elf relics rest in silence here, but now, with the coming of the Corsairs to Belfalas, I worry greatly for what might be lost. If you can recover any relics from the Corsairs, I would be most grateful. It would sadden me deeply to see them sail away with so much of our history in their keeping. All right. Sure. I will save the history. Okay, but before I was going to jump down into the town, but I should not do that. I should go to the other side of the road, which is where the epic quest was taking me, to look at Edhellond from a different perspective. So let's do that. So as I said, Christopher Tolkien publishes the Silmarillion in 1977. What he explained much later, in when he was looking back on this in the 90s, when he was, I think it was 90s. When was Morgoth's Ring published? I'm forgetting the publication schedule of these. The first one came out in the late 80s. 93. Yeah, he was pretty fast with these. Morgoth's Ring came out in 93. So by then it had been, quite some time already, right? It had been 20 or 16 years rather since the Silmarillion was published, and he does some reflecting on his editorial practice during the publishing of the Silmarillion, and there were a couple things that, well, it doesn't necessarily regret, but he says that he might have done differently if he had it to do over again. Hey, it's an elf. Hi, Lothlorn.
If you are a friend, you are welcome to share my watch.
Okay. Am I supposed to stand here? I would be pleased. So, he has a very phlegmatic voice for an elf. I would be pleased to have your company, for men of Umbar have brought their ships to shore and threaten Edhellond. My people have not inhabited the refuge for 1,000 years, but we bear enough affection for places once dear that we cannot allow the raiders to remain. Okay, I can't do the whole thing at that pace. If their goal is plunder, they will be disappointed. The only relics that remain will be of historical value only. Any valuable artifacts or jewels were taken long ago. There are others of my people nearby. If you can defeat some of these raiders throughout Edhellond, I will bring you to them. Return hither with any relics you find, and I will be doubly pleased, for I do have an interest in curiosities from my people's history. Okay, but the other guy wants the relics too. Should I start a bidding war between Lathlorn and the other spy over there? Man, this could get this could be exciting. Don't get too mercenary with this now, Gryfflet. Okay. Here we go. Let's stealth. So what am I doing? I'm exploring. Oh, I got lots of little tasks here. Explore the tallest tower. Explore the southern court. Explore the northwest dock. Defeat Corsair raiders. 8 of them. Collect... Oh, 8. Good grief. I'll do that by accident. Collect relics in Edhellond. Retrieve stolen relics. Okay, so I have to... Maybe if I just have to find a total of 14, or that will be interesting. If they double count them. Oh, hang on. Come here. Gonna intercept you and oh man, he dodged. Oh, phew, man, I caught him. Like he totally juked me out of my shorts there. Like I was coming right at him, and then he went. Did I not get a quest? He had a quest ring. No? No quest appears? Well, I did get credit for him, at least. Uh-oh. Here comes another running dude. I shall ambush him. Any minute. Oh, no. He's just running in circles. Well, these guys are tough to catch. Easy to see. Tough to catch. Come on now. Don't be shy. Oh, not close enough. But Gryfflet's getting his aerobic workouts in, trying to keep up with these dudes. Get back here. Oh, finally. And this one populated the quest. While exploring the ancient elf harbor of Edhellond, you have encountered a substantial force of swiftly running Corsairs. They must be defeated before they can... Can I just trip them? Maybe tripwires would be the way to go with these guys. They must be defeated before they can pillage more of Gondor's history and bring more harm to the people of Gondor. Okay. There we go. Now I can double dip on that. Okay. All right. Back to talking about the history of the Silmarillion. So, what is this? Oh, it's like an urn. I thought from that angle it looked like a lump of dirt, but no, I've got some elvish pottery of some sort. Okay. Wonder which taker is going to be... Uh-oh, I am double counting the relics. Looks like we're going to get our auction after all. Okay, anyway, back to the history of the Silmarillion. In his later reflections, I'm not chasing any more dudes. In his later reflections, Christopher was explaining that one of the other principles. So apart from I'm going to choose the latest completed text that I can find. Sometimes he did splice some things together, but again, he didn't. The principle was he did not want to supplement, with his own writing wherever possible. There were a couple places where he ended up having to do that. but you can see how minimal he tried to how minimal he tried to keep those moments. They tend to be single sentences that he has added. So one example, and we came across this example, I believe, in our Nature of Middle Earth discussion. I think it wasn't Nature of Middle Earth. Sorry, not Nature of Middle Earth. Okay, I don't remember which one we came across this in. But if you remember in the Silmarillion, in the story of Beren and Luthien, when we get to Nargothrond and the coming... hang on, it's before that, because it's setting that up. Celebrimbor. It isn't. No, sorry. I'm getting all confused. Celebrimbor. When Curufin and Celegorm are kicked out of Nargothrond, and Celebrimbor rejects the deeds of his father and remains in Nargothrond, right? This is when Celebrimbor parts ways with the rest of, becomes like the good offspring of the Feanorians, right? There's that. If you remember that passage in the Silmarillion very well, you will remember that it's like one little odd sentence in the middle of a paragraph that just says something like, at this time, it was at this time that Celebrimbor rejected the deeds of his father and remained in Nargothrond. That's a Christopher Tolkien edition. He added that because he needed to, because there was, in none of the texts that he was working with, did that ever get explained, right? Celebrimbor's story was changed at various points during the course of the publication of the Silmarillion. So anyway, that's an example of a sentence in the Silmarillion that was written by Christopher Tolkien, and that's the kind of thing that he tried to restrict himself to, if at all possible. And that's merely... adding things in for consistency. But that is the second principle. So completed texts by his father and the preservation of consistency. He wanted to he was trying to bring things together to make it as much as possible one consistent story. And interestingly, he says later on in this editorial passage in the in Morgoth's Ring that I was talking about, he actually expressed a little bit of regret. I mean, regret, no, I'm not sure, that might be too strong. But that basically there were a bunch of decisions that he made. You appear to have discovered where all the missing and stolen supplies have finally washed up. Oh, I see. They ferried the goods down the river's Black Root and Ringlow to their ships in the bay. You should recover them and return them to Dolvir. Okay, great. Oh, we've attracted a crowd. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I've been following these down the river a long time. Can I just say, I think that Gryfflet is very right to have continued his leveling up. They're 98. He's still only 3 levels above them, but that's good. Okay, so there were lots of decisions that he made, lots of things that he did in the published Silmarillion, because think of this comparative situations, right? In the mid-70s, right, wasn't there waterlogged something up here? Didn't I just see the word waterlogged? There it is. Yeah, so think of the difference of where he was. So, like, when he was working on the Silmarillion... Wait, the tallest tower at Edhellond once kept watch over the sea? I'm, like, literally standing in the river right now. Where, is that the tallest tower? I just checked the tallest tower off my list by standing way below the base of the tallest tower, I guess? Okay, all right. Mid-70s, right? In the mid-70s, his father has just very recently died, right? And he's working on the Silmarillion. I don't want to like project emotions onto him here, but there seems to have been some anxiety, at the very least kind of concern. He wanted not only to present his father's material to the public as a scholar, right, or as like a work of scholarship. He was trying to fulfill his father's dream of, giving the Silmarillion as a story, right? The Silmarillion stories were some of the dearest to Tolkien's heart. I mean, The Lord of the Rings was his magnum opus, and I think before he died, he knew that. But the Silmarillion stuff was still enormously important to him. And Christopher knew that very well. This is their barrel. That's not a barrel of ale. That's like a... What even is that? A little upright wooden urn? What a chaste little... It's like a... what's that Roman word? What they used to drink? Amphora. It's like an amphora. I know it's technically a Greek word, but the Romans used to use it too. And why would I set fire to something that is full of liquid? I have so many questions. Yes. So, Phil, this is the parentage of Gilgalad. I'll come back to the parentage of No, I won't. I'll just do it right now. That's another example of choices that Christopher had to make, right? He had to make these choices because there were multiple versions, like, Tolkien, and we see some of this stuff in The Nature of Middle-earth, and we see some of it in the last volumes of the history of Middle-earth, where he just changes his mind, just flat changes his mind about where a character comes from, what happened. We saw in The Nature of Middle-earth very recently in our discussions on Wednesday nights how he just casually changes the story, basically casually changes the story of Turgon. Finrod was the one who had the Vanyar girlfriend who didn't come with him on the trip, and that's why he never married, right? That's in the published Silmarillion, you may remember. In The Nature of Middle-earth, in the midst of his genealogical discussions, he just kind of casually makes Finrod's girlfriend into Turgon's wife, right? Bit of a scandal, you might think. I mean, I'm joking about that. It's not, but I mean, he's just changing the story. He makes Turgon's wife instead of Finrod's girlfriend, fiance, the one who was of the Vanyar and did not come with him into exile, right? Just flat changed the story. Whereas in the published Silmarillion, again, you may recall, Elenwe, the wife of Turgon, dies instead in the crossing of the Helcaraxa. So that's just one really simple example, right, of a story that we just talked about this a couple weeks back, a story that he changes in the midst of things. So here's Christopher. He's got to make a choice, right? He's got to make a choice. Which version of the story does he tell? Now, that one's a fairly simple one. Gilgalad's parentage is more complicated. Is Gilgalad the son of Fingon? Or is he the son of Orodreth? Both are true. There are written versions of both stories. So, you're Christopher. Which do you go for? Right? Which do you include in the published Silmarillion? So, when he was making these decisions, there has to be some premise upon which he makes his decisions. And the premise that he elected, the premise that he chose was what could he... he was trying to build a consistent story. Wanted to make sure that it was going to be readable. he didn't want to lead with producing the history of Middle Earth, right? He wasn't just producing some kind of scholarly record of, here's here are the various versions of the texts, these texts that my father came up with. He wanted people to be able to pick up the Silmarillion and read it and immerse themselves in it. That's what his dad had wanted. That's what he was trying to do in the 70s, right? But by the time it was the 90s, and he'd been publishing this stuff and kind of, getting a certain amount of grief about it too, like people asking questions and stuff. I mean, the whole history of Middle-earth series is, in a sense, an answer to critics. As a lot of people were asking when the Silmarillion was published. How much of this did Christopher write? There was a very natural question. How much is the father and how much the son? Was exactly the question that many people were asking. And he assured folks it was almost all his father. And they were like, but how is that possible? Because he didn't finish it. Right? And so here, in a sense, his desire to produce a consistent version of his father's stories almost backfired on him, actually. Not quite backfired, but almost backfired. Because he succeeded so well that people were like, wait a second, Tolkien didn't finish the Silmarillion, but here it is, finished. Here's this, beautifully crafted, consistent work of, consistent collection of legends. Man, in order to produce this, Christopher must have written half of it, right? Is what everybody said. And Christopher's like, no, I didn't. And I'll prove it, right? So basically, the history of Middle-earth is him showing his work, right? Here is what I actually did. Here are the materials in order that my father was writing from, early on, from his earliest writings all the way up until his death. This is what I was working with, right? And so you can see how I built what I built. But, and Gowan for Life finally coming back in it. Oh, wait, you know me? Who are you? Hey, it's Dol Gulzir. You're the hobbit that J-Jax is so fond of. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. All you had to do was threaten your treasure chest, and you came right out? J-Jax is a fool. Well, hard to argue. Oh, I don't get the treasure chest now? Boy, did I lure him out, or did he lure me? Oh, well, I guess I'll have to be content with that backpack that just regened over there. Oh, I still have another waterlogged thing I gotta find. And the Southern Court. Oh, we're doing pretty well. Okay. So, this is where we get back to Gowan for Life's question. Now that he has shown his work, right, and released all the history of Middle-earth stuff, one can easily imagine multiple different ways on which, in which the Silmarillion material could be re-edited, right? You could put together several different sort of versions of it, right? Which would show some very different things. Instead of picking and choosing among all of his texts in order to build the most thorough, most consistent story, which is what Christopher did, again, very understandably, no complaints. But instead of doing that, you could have done a number of other things, right? You could try to build the well, of course, in some ways, right, Christopher himself already did this, or began doing this, before he died. That is, the Baron and Luthien book, the Fall of Gondolin book, the Children of Hurin book. Many of that material much of that material is, or all of that material is stuff that he had gathered other ways in the Silmarillion, or sorry, during the course of the history of Middle-earth. And so he presents it in a different way. Like, let me give you a slice instead of a big consistent whole, right? Let me give you a slice and show you what... Sorry, I'm looking for waterlogged barrels down by the coast. Aha! I thought so. Let me show you a slice. Like, let me show you how the Baron and Luthien story grew. Let me show you how the Fall of Gondolin story grew, right? So that's it. Those are different approaches to... Oh, I look at that. I'm not stealthed, am I? And thus drawing a crowd. So we, to some extent, Gowan for Life, we've seen Christopher himself already doing this. Boy, this is getting feisty. Hang on, let me actually concentrate for a moment. Okay. Good. Now stealth yourself, for crying out loud. What are you running around the camp like a guardian for? Okay. Hang on. Now, what do I still need? I still need the Southern Court. I had so many quests. Okay, different sort of treasure. Yeah. Hand of the Scourge. Okay, finished that. Stewing History. Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that none of the quests that I had scrolled off my tracker there. I don't think they did. So I just have one more Barrow Vale and the Southern Court. So let's head south. Okay. But all of this is not to say that it might not be very interesting. The editorial choices that Christopher Tolkien made. I was just going to loot this backpack, but... Oh, you interrupted me at the last second. The editorial choices that Christopher Tolkien made are not inevitable, right? Like the Gilgalad choice that he made, for instance, right? So would it be kind of interesting to see a different Silmarillion? In some ways, yes. In some ways it would. Because again, you could make other choices and then see what that does to the story. You know what I mean? What's up here? Oh, a dying elf. Oh dear. That's not good. Hi, dying elf. Until I know your intentions, I still do not know what to expect, Hobbit. Well, look, the Hobbit thing should be a tip-off, right? I mean, I'm not exactly blending with the locals here, right? My time grows short and there is no chance to return to the cave. To see what these men have done to Edhellond saddens me deeply. What, like turn it into their own personal aerobics theater? I know, right? But I cannot change that now. All I can ask for now is to look out upon the great bay one last time. Aid me in climbing the tower over there, and you would do me a great last honor. Okay. Oh, it's an instance. It's a dying elf. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Oh, I get to protect you while you limp over to the sea? Okay. Could we limp stealthily? Would that be too much to ask? Look, he's already dying, man. Lay off. Okay. Wasn't able to stealth in time to one-shot him. Okay. All right, you're making progress, dying elf. I was auditioning for the part of Deadway. Drusnik says there's a popular theory about this elf's identity. Really? What's the theory? Hang on a second. Well, let me see what he says when he gets to the top. I'll see if I can guess. You're doing great. Man, I can walk in stealth so much faster than he can limp. View slightly marred by the Corsair ships. Okay, there we go. Now, if it is not too much to ask, I desire to spend my final moments in peace. So, you're telling me to shut up? Leave me here and may your deeds today never be forgotten. Huh. Didn't really get very much there, did I? Opulent bauble. Not a step up from my gleaming copper bauble of the Grey Company still. That was an excellent bauble that I was given before. Of all of my baubles, this is the greatest. Okay. He is still faster than Sarah Oakhart. You're right. Yeah, JJ, I think that... Whoa! He's gone! He didn't leave a body. Is that what the theories are about? Got the statues here. Oh, yeah. That's got to be Nimrindel. Look at the hair, though. All piled up. Well, I'm surprised. If that's Amroth, I'm surprised. I mean, it's got to be Amroth and Nimrindel, right? I mean, who else could it be? Why is he carrying a staff? I mean, you can't exactly do a statue of him doing the breaststroke back towards the shore, right? I guess I would have shown him, like, looking more ready to jump into the sea. The theory is that he is Amroth? Who tried to swim right to the shore, didn't make it far, and ended up back on the shore and has been dying ever since. No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. If Amroth had made it back to the shore, he'd have found Nimrindel, wouldn't he? He wouldn't still be lurking around here. Oh, that's silly. Fun, but silly. Okay. I think that's it. I just need one more barrel of ale. Tempted to make a... I'm tempted to make a sounds like the title of my autobiography joke, but of course it really would not be a good title to my autobiography. But somebody's autobiography should probably be, I just need one more barrel of ale. A wooden chest, huh? What's up with this? I must face target. I have no idea where I am, so... Oh, yeah, just a little loot. Fighting a Corsair in the underbrush. So anyway, going for life. So here's the problem. There are two reasons why I don't think we ever will see a new Silmarillion. Like just a revised version of the Silmarillion. One is simply out of respect to Christopher. I think it very unlikely. Oh, come on. My stealth fist fails me. It just out of respect to Christopher, I have a really hard time imagining. I don't have a hard time imagining that there would be Tolkien scholars out there, at some point in the present or future who would be interested in performing this. Like, I'm sure that easily could happen. But I don't see anybody. I don't see the estate giving permission for that to happen. Out of respect to Christopher. Even if it did, I wouldn't expect it to be for quite a while. So that's one reason. The other reason is that there we go. The other reason is that Christopher did what he did for a reason, right? The versions of the texts that he chose, you could choose other versions, but they're not complete, right? The only way that you could do a really different version of the Silmarillion, like, instead of choosing these early texts that Christopher chose, I'm going to choose later texts where Tolkien had developed the story in new ways. Well, you could do that, right? But if you did do that, oh, this guy tries to save the beer, but it's too late. Why does the beer explode? I don't understand why the beer explodes. What exactly are they drinking? Maybe it's not beer, which is explaining both why it explodes and why they keep it in amphorae instead of in barrels. But anyway, okay, done. Again, what you would have to do in order to make a fundamentally different text based on the later writings of Tolkien instead of on the early writings. Again, Christopher's going as late as possible, but as late as possible where they're finished and don't have to be added to, right? The only way you could have a very different Silmarillion is if you were willing to finish them yourselves. Tolkien's unfinished writings, right? Like his later unfinished writings. And this makes it not a scholarly project, but a creative project, right? And whom would you want to do that? Who exactly are you going to entrust, not just with the re-editing, but with the completion as an author of the Silmarillion? I don't know. But I think it's going to be unlikely to see the estate agree to that. Maybe we'll live to see that, but I'd be pretty surprised if that happened. Thanks, Gowan for Life, for the fascinating question, which took me like almost through the entire stream today. But it really is a fascinating prospect. It really is. Okay, Lothlorn. We do not have enough warriors to cast the Corsairs into the sea, but your efforts in the refuge have told them that even an abandoned refuge is never truly forgotten by the Elves.
I am Lothlorn, and I am proud to count myself among the Avarine.
We were tasked by Círdan the Shipwright with maintaining a watch on Edhellond, and have done now for some time. Removing overgrown brush and keeping the paths clear and ensuring that the docks remain free of debris. If the havens of Mithlond become untenable, this would be the last place from which my people could depart this Middle-earth for the undying lands. The men of Umbar that occupy Edhellond do us a grievous turn and do not even know of it. Dorthoneth is the leader of the Avorim, and you can find her in the cave where we reside for now. If you follow the road southwest on the way to Dol Amroth, you will come to a rocky cleft on the ground to your right. Okay, follow it down to a cliffside path over the water, and you will come to the entrance. Tell Dorthoneth of your experiences in this land, for she has a wisdom about her and has proven a capable leader of the Avorim for as long as I have known her. Did I already give him all the relics? Do I have to go fetch more for Dolvir now? Oh, right. I see. Down there. Got it. Okay, Lothlorn. I can't pretend that I'm not going to have to talk to you personally a whole lot. And I'm hoping that the rest of the Avorim are a little bit more cheerful and swift of speech. Okay. Phil says, do you think this guy was on the team that first woke up the Ents? You're wondering if this is one of the people who taught the Ents to talk? Yeah, it's possible. JJ, is this Eeyore in elf form? Drowsnake asks. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, look, he's upset. I get it. But and different people respond to these things in different ways. But Okay. Oof. All right. These are all the completed ones.
Gondor needs your aid.
Yep. Okay. Oh, the barrels. Yeah. Get credit for the barrels.
These are troublesome times indeed.
You need not tell me what you have done. It was a joy to behold. I've never seen them fall into such disarray before today. Let them learn well that the men of Gondor know exactly where to strike. And yeah, I agree. I think it was probably whiskey, not beer.
How may I help you, friend?
I'm glad to hear of Dol Guzir's defeat, for it means that the Corsairs will be without a leader, at least for the moment. We have slowed their assault, but I fear that is all that can be done for now. I wonder if the Scourge will take notice of what we've done here. Let us hope we are better prepared when he finally decides to reveal himself. When you have done all you wish to do here in Edhellond, return to Gielinor. I know he has great plans for you. I am glad you could recover these. I do not think of them as belonging to my people either. Oh, the relics. Yeah, let's see if he notices that I don't actually have any left. But I would prefer to keep them from the Corsairs. When we finally push them from our lands, I will see these relics returned to Edhellond. Okay. Or someone else will. Okay. Hang on, I got it. Oofs, man, I've got some inventory issues here. Definite inventory issues. I can do something about a little bit of this. Where'd my stuff go? My what are they called? Fragments, segments. Didn't I get some? I was going to turn them in. I don't see them. Where'd they go? No, that's an essence. I know I got some. Oh, there they are. I have to unlock them in the... Oh, no, it's a tracery. Oh, that's the problem. Critical response skill damage. Okay, it was a tracery, not one of the enhancements. Okay. All right. Yeah, boy, I need to do some inventory management soon. Okay. Which first? Let's go back to Gielinor first. Actually, let us ride. I was looking for the wrong thing. I was looking for enhancements, and when it was actually a tracery I got. There we go. I'll return up and talk to Gielinor. Still got a little bit of time here. Okay. See what big plans he has for my life. I hope his big plan involves sending me on to Dol Amroth. Let's hope that his Gilinor's plans for me can be summarized in the phrase vector quest. Let's see. Hey, Gilinar, what do you think?
How may I help you, friend?
Am I to assume you found Dolvir and found success? I may be of great use to Gondor. Oh, and I get boots.
These are troublesome times indeed.
So much, you have done much to aid us. So much so that I wish for you to travel to Dol Amroth. Hooray! The people there would be well served to have a skillful hobbit at their side. The city is... How many times has that been said? Right? The people of Dol Amroth have been like, if only we had a skillful hobbit at our side. The city is a wonder all its own, and if you have never visited it, prepare yourself. It is my opinion that you would be hard-pressed to find a place of greater beauty in Gondor, save perhaps Minas Tirith. I have said enough of the city. It is time you saw it for yourself. So what he has in store for me is sightseeing. Great. Okay. Excellent, Gilinar. Glad you and I are on the same page in this respect. Okay. Woohoo! I am going to achieve my goal. Achieve my goal of... No, wait, let's go at the other gate. I'm going to achieve my goal of getting to Dol Amroth today. Maybe. I gotta go check on the Elves. In their cave. Which I guess this road is going to bring me out near there. Drowsnake thinks the guards are going to be celebrating finding someone to guard their many walking trees. Yeah, I'm sure. Gryfflet will never live that down. It's been like, how many sessions since then? Poor Gryfflet was, what, like level 10 or something when that happened? Never forget. Okay. Let's see. Let's get off our horse here. If we're going to be walking cliff paths. Okay. No, that's not a cliff path. It's just a cliff. So we go down this way. No, there isn't a this way. Oh, hang on. Hang on. That looks promising. Oh, fine. This is what looked promising down here. Follow me down here, cruel cliff hound. Let's see if you are really a cliff hound. Anyway, so this path looked like maybe it goes somewhere. Aha! Oh. Okay, wasn't exactly yawning, but splendid view of the Corsair ship. Look at that. So that's a lot of spikes. But I mean, who am I to advise them on the aesthetics of their ships? If they don't know best, who does? Phil says his best guess is that the walking tree incident was sometime in June of 2015. Yeah. It has been 6.5 years in real world time since the walking tree incident. But it's okay. It's okay. Ooh. Oh, it's a little elvish, useless shield barrier where they erect shields and put spears through it, but like off the path so it doesn't actually inconvenience anybody. Oh, that's adorable. Like they're adopting local customs. Look, here's another one. Here's another one, right? But we've angled it back so that, you know, lest anybody get hurt on this defensive barrier. Oh, looks like they got the fluorescent lights on in there. Wow. I thought this was a hideout, but this is, maybe this is how elves do hideouts. So I have a question, elves. If there are this many of you and you're building cities, why didn't you just rebuild Edhellond? I mean, or just live there. It's like mostly still fine. But like instead you built benches here to lounge on. And how is she doing that? She's like leaning way back, but she's got nothing to lean against. Is she like quietly getting in some ab work while she's listening to her friend drone on, do you think? Maybe that's what she's doing. Yeah, I mean, she would have mad core muscles to sit like that for a prolonged period of time. Would really start to burn after a few minutes, wouldn't it? Bring no evil in here and you will be welcome. Okay. Wait, am I leaving again? No. Oh no, that was just the antechamber. Okay. We're still coming. The main city is yet to come. These are really cool. Those meant to look like compasses? Very interesting. Hey, I actually had to walk around that barrier. That defensive barricade was set quite inconveniently. This cave is the home of the Avorim in this land. Do not harm here or pay the price. Wait, am I supposed to neither do harm nor pay the price? Is that an either or? Probably is. Hi, excuse me. Not trying to be creepy or anything. What's on his breast? Oh, he's got the same breastplate as the elves in way back in the Trollfells. Look at the Great Bridge. I think where we first see that. Hey, it's a horse. Where does he go? Can take you to the Dead Marshes? Really? Didn't see that coming. Boy, that horse really, in retrospect, gets a kind of a bad deal. No way. Galdor? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I know Wigan's been here before. It's on the epic track, but it's been forever. I don't remember it. Again, it's, you know. I like to see things anew all over again. Doesn't this look like they've got fluorescent lighting going on inside? It really does. What would make light that white? Whoops. Whoa. Okay. They have some spare Silmarils? Yeah, maybe. Galdor. Working on his core. But not only is he working on his core with the reclining action, but he's doing it with his back, you know, to the water. Okay, Galdor. Alright, how fares my least favorite dude in the Council of Elrond? Oh, not interested in talking to me, huh? You're just going to lean back and survey. I kind of like this sort of smoking jacket look, right? With the sort of overlapped shirt inside and the jaunty collar. And the stars. He's got little six-pointed stars. faintly worked into his coat there. They are nice slippers. Oh, you think they have a stock of files in there, like Galadriel's file? Yeah, maybe so. So, surprise, surprise. We found Galdor, and he's being useless. Just sitting around antisocially. Oh, an elf maid, deep in thought. Are you standing there looking down at Galdor? Thinking he looks dashing, but kind of self-centered and cowardly? Yes, that's like the smallest quest text I've ever seen. Okay.
I am called Dol Amroth, and I have chosen to care for the Arboreal.
You're going to care for them like a mother does? That's very nice. They are the Avarim, and they have come to this land to watch over... It should be the Avorim, shouldn't it? To watch over the refuge of Edhellond and keep it safe from danger. Danger threatens it now, as you have seen. Men of Umbar have come ashore in great number, too many for my few Avorim to drive away. A guest is lately arrived, and we just spoke about these raiders. Go to him and hear what he has to say, for his news signals trouble for the Avorim, and for the folk of Gondor as well. Do you see him across the way? His name is Galdor. Oh dear. And he is lately arrived from Imladris. Yeah, I bet. So you found it, Phil? Gryfflet was level 10 when the walking tree incident occurred? Yeah.
I'm glad you have come to the cave of the Arboreal.
For with the dawn came messages from afar, and one of these concerns you directly. The Lady of Lorien speaks in cryptic words, but I can discern enough to know that you will be able to interpret her wishes. The Lady Galadriel speaks of a Gondorian man on an errand he believes important. It has drawn him into the Dead Marshes by the battle plain of old, and his feet are dogged by servants of the enemy. The Lady of Lorien does not need to express her desire in words for me to know what drives this message. She does not want this Gondorian man to draw the attention of the orcs to this place. To this place? Why would he draw attention to this cave by being in the Dead Marshes? I'm so confused. The Avorim keep several fast horses for their personal use, but none so swift as that cared for by our master of horses. Speak to him and ride to the Dead Marshes with all the speed you can muster, and hasten this Gondorian back to his homelands before he causes great harm by his presence there. I was actually Gryfflet was actually level 14. It was a quest level 10, but he was... so he was 4 levels over level and still failed to save the walking tree? That's more embarrassing. My goodness. Kendall, I know, right? It's really funny. Like, hey, can you ride to the Dead Marshes real quick? Yeah, that is... of course. Yeah, like across the breadth of Gondor? Yeah, no problem. Be right back. Okay. I'm kind of confused. Oh, wait, I know. Maybe Galdor can explain it to me. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that'll help. Let's talk to Galdor. Whoops. Whoa. I can go through there? Whee! I can jump through a window. That's unusual. That's an advance, isn't it? If that structure were in like Eregion, I wouldn't be able to walk through it, I don't think. Hey, Galdor.
For I came to Imladris some months ago and saw you there.
Mm-hmm. Listen to his voice.
I know your face, for I came to Imladris some months ago and saw you there.
A council was held and many courses decided, but we will not speak of them here. Know that I hold you in esteem, and consider you an ally, and we bear friends in common. It is that sense of kinship that drives me to tell you this. Do not underestimate the Corsair threat. I gave Dorthanath the same warning. In my journey here, I came near to a group of Umbar men and overheard their talk. They spoke in reverent tones of the heirs of Castamere and the Scourge, but it is not these names that fill me with anxiety. No, the flame of my concern is kindled by the passion with which the Umbar men spoke of their loyalty. Any of them would die in the name of the heirs, and gladly, which is not a trait I have heard associated with that people before now. Something has changed. I will set out for Mithlond in a few days, but do not forget my warning. Lotros Galdor played by Lucius Malfoy. Yeah, something like that. You know, kind of works for me. Okay, so what do you want me to do? Talk to Dorthanath. Okay. Let's jump through the window, because we can. Okay. I'm running out of time. Not going to make it all the way to Dol Amroth. When I saw that the cave was on the way, I was like, no, we should stop at the cave, even though it means not getting to Dol Amroth this week. But we can't exactly ignore the Avorim, especially now that they are afflicted by this new threat from the coast, who is here to disturb the peace and tranquility of their councils and their lives peacefully in this cave. And also the Corsairs have come.
Gondor is right to worry. The men of Umbar have not possessed loyalty like this for years.
And it was once believed their people would decline and no longer pose a threat to their neighbors across the bay. I do not believe these heirs of Castamere are truly descended from that king, but I have paid little attention to the histories of Gondor and could not say for certain. The lives of men are brief. Many a season has passed. Before, I thought there might be some connecting word I was missing. Before many a season has passed, they fall, like the leaves of the trees in my home. I have never recorded either. Dorthanath is silent for a long time, and you have almost decided to leave her in peace when she speaks again. I would be content to remain alone, listening to the sound of the water falling and the sighing of the wind in the trees, but as long as the Avorim must remain here, I will care for and protect them. There are others, too, with whom I feel a kinship and would safeguard.
Go to Dol Amroth and give Lothiriel my warning.
Well, great. You must think I speak of leaving the world to its troubles, but even I, with every reason to do so before me, cannot truly withdraw. I have grown fond of Lothiriel, the daughter of the Prince of Dol Amroth, who rules in it now in his absence. Oh, so she's not just a leaf that's falling, right, in every season? Okay. On several occasions, she has escaped the watchful eyes of her guard and come to visit me outside the walls of her city. The matters of which we spoke? Not war, nor armies, nor weapons. They were matters of love and marriage, for Lothiriel is betrothed to a man she does not wish to marry. Oh, uh-oh. Oh, no, I think I know what that is. I think I have good news for her. Such things are a lady's concerns, and I counseled her on them as best I could. Don't worry, Dorthanath, her problems are over. But now I must counsel her on these other concerns as well, weapons, armies, and war. I echo the worry of Galdor. She must not underestimate the heirs of Castamere and the one they call the Scourge. Lothiriel's father has been called to the war in the east, but war finds her now in the west, and if either is lost, there will be no hope for the other when the night has come. Go to Dol Amroth and give her my warning. There is elvish blood in her line, but it is no sense of kinship that drives me in this. It is the love I bear for the dark-haired woman who spoke to me of her hopes and her fears when the moon was high over the sea and banished sadness for a time. Okay. Betrothed to a man she doesn't want to marry. You know who that is, right? I don't have to meet her to know who that is. She was betrothed to Boromir. That's
Why I say I have good news for her. Okay, do I have to talk to Galdor again? You know who Galdor's voice reminded me of? It reminded me of the guy from the Dos Equis commercials, like the most interesting man in the world, right? That's kind of what he reminded me of a little bit. Okay. Talk to... Galdor's got to leave to record his NPR show? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Phil, I think that is... I'm trying to remember. I don't think they made that up. I mean, I know the story of, like, her reluctance to marry Boromir is definitely a Lotro invention, because there's no way we get any information about... there's no way that we get any information about Lothiriel's desires or attitudes within the canon. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. But I think there might be a reference to it. No? Maybe not. Maybe not. Wouldn't be the first time that the Lotro developers came up with something so plausible and natural that I, like, totally assumed that it was that it had been written somewhere. Yeah, she does eventually marry Éomer Edith. That is canon. That Éomer goes on to marry the daughter of Prince Imrahil. So yeah, that we know. Okay. Yep. All right. Tell you what, it's almost time to go. But before we go, in the last minutes before we go, let's just pop over to the Dead Marshes, shall we? If it be Dorthaneth's wish for you to depart in such haste, I will not stand in your way. The steeds of the Avorium may give even the fabled Maearis a close race. If you want to know my opinion, ride swiftly and at once. Well, let's just see about that, shall we? Okay, swift horse. Okay, that was pretty swift. I'm convinced. A long journey of many miles and very few minutes concludes. You have come to the Dead Marshes. Man, here we are. Dead Marshes. Hi, are you the dude who's in trouble? I don't mean needs rescuing. I mean, you're making trouble. Like, you're gonna get in trouble. They're gonna give you what for when you get back for some reason. Tell you what. Yeah, I'm not all that friendly. I've come here to browbeat you sternly and bring you back home. But I'm not even going to read it, because if I read it, I'll forget what I'm supposed to be doing, because I know I'm not going to have time to do his quests this week. Charming little camp you've established here, though. What's up with the bags? Are you tying your supplies up there to keep them away from varmints? But then what about these supplies? And this barrel? And these supplies? Huh. And why do you have 3 pots on... There's only one of you, man. How much do you eat? What are you cooking, anyway? Yeah, I've got 3 pots of stew. Are you expecting a lot of guests in the Dead Marshes? Oh, here we are. Don't look at the lights. That's what Gollum says. I love how they did the lights. That's very cool. Much cooler than just the flames in the Peter Jackson films. This is much better. Yeah. And I agree. I think Drow-Snake, he must have, carried all this on his back. He doesn't even have a horse. I mean, that's my horse over there. Well, my loner horse. But it must have taken him a lot of trips to bring in all these supplies. And then where did he get the firewood? Is there a singular tree around here? He must have brought that with him. Man, and oh wait, hang on, he's got a wagon. Or the remnants of a wagon. Okay, so he seems to cut the wagon up for firewood, which... Alright, he's wrecked his wagon. Did he wreck his horse too? Did he eat his horse? Is his horse in the pot? Oh no. Artemir, you've got all kinds of issues. This is disturbing. Alright, well... Gryfflet will keep Artemir company for another week. We'll be back next week. We'll do our little jaunt into the Dead Marshes here, and then we will return and finally go to Dol. I am confident that we will get to Dol Amroth next week. Very close this week. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Bye now. Thanks for joining in on my rambles around Standing Stone's brilliant digital adaptation of Tolkien's world. If you enjoy these adventures, please consider supporting this and other entertaining educational programming by donating at signumuniversity.org/fund.